They're not the kind to grab the mic and scream "We Gonna Fly" at the start of an album. They're not locked in some sweaty studio at 3 a.m., gaming glasses on, hoodie 3 sizes too big, chasing the next hit. They don't scream, they dance. And sometimes that's all it takes to tip the stage. Welcome to episode 2 of RACHA Files, a 5-part special series diving deep into the world of Stray Kids, the most unruly force in today's K-pop. After kicking off with the blazing minds behind 3 RACHA, we're shifting focus this time, not upwards, but down, into the body. Because everything Stray Kids says, everything they've left unsaid, everything they've taken on the chin, Dance RACHA danced it. Lino, Hyunjin, Felix. 3 silhouettes fans can recognize in backlight. 3 bodies turned into language. 3 paths that should never have crossed, and yet together they've redefined what it means to dance in a boy band. Not just keeping time. Not just smiling in a half-open shirt. Not just a flawless hair flip for Thursday's fan cam. No. They create weight, tension, memory, and sometimes resistance. They don't share the same past, the same style, or the same story. And that's exactly why they've become the most magnetic triangle in modern K-pop. In this episode, we're diving, scratch that, we're plunging to the bone into what this trio truly represents. Their genesis, their contradictions, their iconic stages, their missteps, their wins, and the failures they turned into launchpads. We're going to talk about Lino, the stoic perfectionist, Hyunjin, the tortured prince with a killer kick, and Felix, the Australian sprite with a voice that sounds like it rose straight from the Earth's core. We'll unpack why these 3 aren't just the dancers. They're the muscle, the nerve, and sometimes even the breath of Stray Kids. Think you already know everything about them? Good. You'll still learn something, and if you're a baby stay, get ready to never watch a performance the same way again. Now, step away from the spotlight, let the shadows speak. Welcome to Dance RACHA. By the way, for some transitions, I use my own music. Not Stray Kids, I wish, but copyright would absolutely destroy me. You'll find the time codes in the description if you want to skip. But if you decide to listen, let me know what you think.
Cappuccino, wake sharp minds, brewed hot sherbra. No sugar, no filter. Sip, think, repeat.
Some groups are built like clockwork. Rookies are cast at 13, trained in agency pipelines, chosen for their symmetry and their ability to wink on beat. And then there are the ones whose journey begins sideways. That's Dance RACHA. 3 glitches in the matrix. 3 crooked, hard-to-place trajectories, borderline rejections, and paradoxically, the ones who ended up laying the group's most solid foundations. Lino is the oldest of the trio, and probably the one with the most technical, most pro background, but also the one most invisible to the general public. He didn't come from the JYP mold. He didn't even come from the idol mold. He came from the stage. The one nobody looks at. Born in 1998, he grew up in Gimpo, started dancing young, and joined Seoul Dance Studio early on, one of the country's most respected underground dance academies. He trained in hip-hop, popping, and urban. He danced in crews with sweet names but brutal skill levels. Brownie Bros, then Cupcakes, alongside names like Bada Lee or Vada, faces the rest of the world wouldn't recognize until years later. At 18, he performed at World of Dance with his crew, not in a trainee learning the ropes kind of way. As a featured guest, he was already pro. And more than that, he was a backup dancer for BTS. From 2016 through early 2017, he performed in several of their MVs, Fire, Not Today, Spring Day, and followed them on the Wings World Tour. He was there, on stage, in the shadows, sitting on stage in the shadows, 1 meter from the spotlight, and that's precisely when something cracked. He said it himself, watching idols shine while he executed nameless choreography behind LED screens forced him to confront a desire he'd never put into words before, to be at the center. To be seen, to be the artist, not just someone's right hand. He first auditioned for JYP in 2015. Silence. 2 years later, the agency came back to him. He was recruited in July 2017, 3 months before the launch of Stray Kids. He was literally the last one picked. And as if that wasn't enough, he was eliminated in episode 4 of the survival show. Too technical, not idol enough, no vocal training, no camera presence. He flubbed his rap, lost confidence, got cut. But in the finale, he came back. The public voted to save him. And Lino, the shadow dancer, officially became part of an idol group. Not because the system chose him, because the public refused to let him go. Hyunjin is the complete opposite. No underground scene, no backdancer creds, no original intention of becoming an idol. He was grabbed by the wrist in a shopping mall. True story. One day in middle school, while shopping with his mom, a guy walks up and hands him a JYP business card. Hyunjin thought it was a scam. He went home and frantically Googled the guy's name. Spoiler, it was a legit recruiter, and the wildest part, he had 0 training, none. No dance classes, no vocal lessons, nothing. But he nailed the audition. Because he had something feral, he joined JYP in 2016 at 16. And that's when the marathon started. Hyunjin dove headfirst into nonstop training while juggling school at SOPA, the School of Performing Arts dance major. That's where he discovered what his body could do and what his face could become. By October 2017, he was revealed as part of the Stray Kids lineup. No suspense. Everyone agreed. He officially debuted in March 2018. And from the first performances, you could tell he was cast like a Greek tragic hero. Prince, like silhouette, feline stare, possess movement. What Hyunjin doesn't say, he performs. And damn, does it hit. Then there's Felix, the system glitch, born in Sydney, Australia. Into Taekwondo, with a voice still cracking when JYP found him through a Facebook message. Yes, Facebook. A recruiter slid into his DMs. He thought it was a scam. Stranger danger, he still jokes. But his Australian Dance Academy director encouraged him to go for it. He did. And 2 weeks later, he was flying to Seoul. Freestyle audition, accepted. He moved to Korea for good in early 2017. At 16, barely spoke Korean, didn't know the rules, the language, or the expectations. And still B made it into the lineup. Then got eliminated in episode 8 of the survival show. Too many language barriers. But just like Lee No, he returned in the finale. Because he worked. Because he pushed through. And because his voice, deep, cavernous, straight from another dimension, was rapidly becoming a secret weapon. 3 beginnings, 3 broken blades the system almost spat out. And yet, those cracks would become their core strength. Lee No, the technician turned rehearsal leader. Hyunjin, the late bloomer turned stage icon. Felix, the foreigner turned sonic anchor. They weren't placed on a pedestal. They climbed it. With their bodies, with their doubt, with their resilience. And that's exactly what makes everything that follows explosive.
Tunnel whispers got you sent on me, on me, on me. Mark the times you crossed without a key. No key. Every signal flickers you to me, to me, to me. I don't chase, I just believe. Static hums when you're near. Do you feel it in your mirror? There's no name, just the sound of a presence underground. Yeah, this line never sleeps. Watch you pass, never speak. But I'm there in the glass, on repeat, repeat. And it's safe when I don't breathe. When you ride and I just speak. Rough track, no retreat. Yeah, this line never sleeps. I sit still, but I'm aligned, so close. Time my pulse to every wheel you wind, your ghost. You don't see, but I design all the echoes that you find. Warning bells, not for danger, just a beat I made for strangers. You won't name me, but you'll know when the silence starts to glow. Yeah, this line never sleeps. I rewind every heat, let you leave in the dark, bittersweet. And it's safe when I'm unseen, when I vanish in your stream. Fast ride, cold steam. Yeah, this line never sleeps. Your ticket said no turning, but I was never on board. Still I painted the ceiling of every car you ignored. Yeah, this line never sleeps. I'm the space you don't keep. Every blink I slip deep. Not a ghost, not a dream. Just the hum beneath your theme. In the night while you sleep. Yeah. This line never sleeps.
idols dance because it's in the job description, and then there are those for whom dancing is quite literally the only way to exist. With Lino, Hyunjin, and Felix, there's no cute choreo pose option. There's only movement, sharpened, visceral, volatile, as a response to the outside world. Dance RACHA doesn't work because they're good dancers. It works because they never dance the same way twice. Their trio is a calibrated anomaly. One former pro dancer, one late blooming emotive, one ultra physical instinctive. And it's in that imbalance that their chemistry sparks. Lino is often dubbed the group's choreographic brain, which may sound ironic in a group where three RACHA literally are the brains behind the music, but in the language of bodies, Lino is the matrix. Before debuting, he had 8 years of dance under his belt. His roots lie in underground hip hop, but he also trained in contemporary locking and whacking. At Soul Dance Academy, he learned to hit beats with military precision. Every joint is under control. No move is wasted. He isolates motion like a surgeon wielding a scalpel. His ability to shift cleanly between rapid fire steps and micro pauses gives his performances a clarity that's rare in K-pop, where choreography often gets drowned in a frenzy of limbs. In group stages, Lino never chases the spotlight, but somehow the camera always circles back to him during the pivotal moments, because his center of gravity doesn't flinch, because his kicks, flips, and isolations trigger micro-visual shocks. In Super Bowl, he embodies the track's slicing edge like a kitchen knife honed to surgical sharpness. In Easy, he plays with rhythm and silence like a metronome on edge, turning breaks into kinetic hypnosis. And in S-Class live stages, his acrobatic pivots and domino step syncs with Hyunjin momentarily cast him as co-choreographer. That's not random. Since 2018, Bang Chan has referred to him as the group's rehearsal captain. He corrects. He guides, he fine-tunes, and sometimes he creates. His solo Dawn SKZ Player 2019 is the perfect case study, a self-designed piece blending contemporary dance, slow breathwork, and inward ruptures. A quiet showcase, but laced with rare refinement. He might be one of the only idols of his generation with this level of credibility in pure choreographic craft, all without ever being labeled as the group's official choreographer. Now contrast that with Hyunjin. He doesn't think, he feels. He's an emotional circuit board wrapped around a nervous skeleton. He only started dancing at 16, but he made up for lost time by absorbing the language of movement like his life depended on it. He dances like others bleed. His gestures are never neutral. They're always soaked in dramatic intent. Even his stillness carries weight. What makes him so singular is his ability to swing from flow to fracture, as if slow motion could snap into staccato. That constant pull between release and rupture gives his dancing an almost theatrical charge. It's not just style, it's storytelling. Every performance feels like a wordless tragedy. Take Play with Fire, staged and choreographed by him. He plays a dethroned king, a royal figure torn between guilt and craving. His movements feel symbolic, almost ritualistic. And when he re-performed the piece in a duet with Yeji from ICZ 2 years later, he mirrored it, reinvented it, proving again that Hyunjin never dances the same number twice. He's not just a performer, he's an arranger. He's made visual and staging suggestions for multiple stages, including the 8-member version of Red Lights and the explosive Get Lit performance at the 2023 AAA. He knows his visual power, but he doesn't let it sit still. He uses it to shape the form. His movement isn't there to seduce, it's there to cut through. Then there's Felix, the instinctive one, less academic, more unpredictable. At first, his dancing was all energy, forged by Taekwondo and an intuitive sense of rhythm. But he evolved. His lines got cleaner, his control sharper. Yet he never lost that raw, muscular looseness. He doesn't dance to be sensual. He dances to land a hit. He's not the surgical technician that Lino is. He's not the dramatic actor that Hyunjin is. He's the kinetic release, a controlled mess with power. In Maniac, he's the one who throws the backflip. In Wolfgang, he kicks off the physical climax with a full body flip. In All In, his kicks hit like blunt weapons. His dance started as an extension of his athletic build, but has since gained both precision and intent. Felix also has a rare gift, the ability to sing, dance, and execute acrobatics without breaking stage presence. He has a natural tempo control, which lets him land vocals even mid-sequence. He may not be the most classically trained, but he's probably the most scenically wired. He radiates a calm that's almost paradoxical in intensity, like he can float in chaos. And in a group like Stray Kids, that emotional steadiness becomes an anchor. So no, Dance RACHA isn't just an addition of talent. It's attention. Lino is the frame. Hyunjin is the voltage. Felix is the impact line. Together, they build a kinetic architecture that goes way beyond the dance break. They aren't the best dancers in Stray Kids because they can high kick or go viral on fan cams. They are because they each embody an organic function of the performance, clarity, expression, reverberation. That's their real strength, not harmony, controlled dissonance. A trio of waveforms, one strikes, one sways, one resonates. And it's that exact mechanic that makes some of their collective stages unforgettable. Yes, they're beautiful. That much is undeniable. But the problem with beautiful people is that we often stop asking them to be human. We expect them to be smooth, radiant, flawless. We label them visuals, freeze them in fan cams, dissect their makeup as if their existence were a 4K museum exhibit. And yet, behind the filters, Dance Racha has never been a quiet trio. Their stage work might flow like silk, but their public image, it's a mosaic of cracks, contradictions, stumbles, and reinventions. This segment isn't some tabloid-style rundown of scandals. It's a lens, trying to understand how this trio was shaped not in spite of the fractures, but through them. Take Hyunjin. Today, he's considered one of the most iconic dancers of K-pop's fourth gen. He's signed with Versace. His fan cams clock millions of views. His global fan base borders on devotional. And yet, he almost lost it all. In February 2021, at the peak of Stray Kids' ascent, Hyunjin was accused by a former schoolmate on a Korean forum of having bullied him during middle school. It was the height of a wider wave, a sort of hash me too but school-themed, where nearly 30 idols were called out for alleged classroom misconduct. JYP launched an internal investigation. Hyunjin wrote a handwritten letter of apology, met with the accuser, and was promptly pulled from all activities. Officially, he wasn't found guilty of anything criminal, but the label deemed the situation serious enough to sideline him indefinitely. He vanished from the public eye for 4 months. During that hiatus, fans didn't fold. They mobilized. Hashtags trended daily. Letters poured in. Petitions were signed. This wasn't delusion. It was faith in an artist whose sincerity had never come under fire. In June, JYP announced his return, revealing that Hyunjin had been volunteering quietly during his break. That same day, the music video for Mixtape OA dropped. The final shot, Hyunjin, alone, filmed like a resurrection. He didn't speak, he danced. And that was exactly what the public had waited for. Since then, he's reclaimed his place, stronger, quieter, and more grounded. Critics that once hovered around him have been replaced by tears at concerts. In private, Hyunjin has said that period was the hardest moment of his life. On stage, and his performances now burn with something else, like dancing isn't just a craft for him anymore. It's survival. Felix's fracture was quieter, but no less cutting. When he debuted, some Korean netizens brushed him off as pretty, but not ready. They pointed at his uncertain Korean, his voice that didn't fit the mold, his outsider energy. Nothing brutal, just the kind of passive-aggressive condescension reserved for people who don't quite fit. But the worst hit came on August 15th, 2024, Korea's Liberation Day. During a casual live stream, Felix, smiling, mentioned he'd been looping a Japanese anime song. The backlash was instant. That day commemorates the end of Japanese colonial rule in Korea, and even without ill intent, referencing Japanese content can be seen as tone deaf. Felix responded that same evening with a heartfelt apology. "I'm sorry for my lack of consideration on such an important day." The tone was calm, sincere. Most Korean fans supported him, acknowledging how swiftly and respectfully he reacted. The issue dissolved quickly, but it revealed the truth. As a foreigner in a Korean group, Felix lives by slightly different rules. He knows it. He adjusts, and he never uses it as an excuse. And if I had to pick one moment, one that personally struck me in the gut, it would be that fan sign where Korean stays visibly skipped over Felix, walked past him like he wasn't even there. No stop, no smile, not even eye contact, just a silent bypass to get to the others. And he just stood there, frozen in place, trying not to let it show. That moment, it broke my heart. He doesn't deserve that. Not him. Not with everything he gives on and off stage. Then there's Lino. His story doesn't center around a single controversy, but around a persistent misunderstanding. This guy, in another timeline, could have been an industrial designer or the sharply dressed butler in a Park Chan-wook film. He's meticulous, reserved, precise. And in K-pop, that can be unnerving, especially to new fans, who sometimes interpret his demeanor as cold, unwelcoming. At fan signs, he doesn't fake it. If he's tired, it shows. If he's uncomfortable, he doesn't force a grin. So naturally, he's been accused of being uninterested or stuck up. One fan even posted a negative account of a video fan sign in 2020, criticizing him for being cold. Later, it came out she bombarded him with intrusive questions that made him uncomfortable. Since then, he's learned to play the game, but on his own terms. Once, during a fan sign, a stay said, "You scare new fans. You seem cold." Without missing a beat, Lino replied, "Really? But I'm hot." Perfectly deadpan. The line became a meme. What binds the three of them isn't the controversies. It's how they came through them, quietly, with no dramatic justifications. They each reclaim performance as their zone of redemption. Where others might issue public statements, they dance. Where others explain, they stage a kind of wordless restoration. You have to read their bodies to understand what they've been through. And maybe it's not a coincidence that some of their best performances came right after those ruptures. Hyunjin, post-hiatus, radiates even more emotion than before. Felix, after August 15th, doubled down on fashion campaigns and poured even more care into fan interactions. Lino, once seen as aloof, began showing a more protective, playful, nuanced side, especially with his members. What the world tried to brand as flaws, they each reshaped into signatures. Dance RACHA, then, isn't just a trio of performers. They're three resilient bodies. And maybe that's their real power, turning the stage into a sanctuary, not a podium, not a display window, a space where, no matter what's said about them, they can always answer back without saying a word.
7 a.m. Sky still here, rain still due. The apocalypse didn't RSVP, but it left a voicemail. I spread butter like it's a coping mechanism. I count the birds, all three. One looks like he knows things. I'm too informed to be surprised, too tired to be outraged, too caffeinated to sleep, too awake to dream. I scroll past fires like they're memes. Gaza, forest, billion nerves in space. I react with a toast emoji. I call that balance. This is my end of days routine. Filter coffee, filtered news. The planet's burdened with bad Wi-Fi, and I'm just refilling my spoon. No breakdowns before breakfast, no hope without sarcasm. Apocalypse with a side of toast and emotional detachment for dessert. My therapist said I need grounding, so I touch grass. It's dead, my fault probably. I dreamt once that everything was fine. I woke up, my screen told me otherwise. Thanks, screen. I'm not numb, I'm just calibrated. I adjusted the volume on reality, and now it's background music to my mediocre lunch. This is my end of days routine. Hope postponed, truth delayed. Laugh tracks over chaos, guilt microwaved. No hero arc, no grand escape. Just me, a fork in yesterday's shame. Apocalypse with a side of toast, and still I stay.
When we talk about performance in K-pop, we think of stages, choreo, kicks, drops. But with Dance RACHA, performance doesn't stop when the music ends. It spills over. Into the folds of fabric, into the way they walk through an airport terminal, into every perfectly framed Instagram post. It creeps into TikTok loops, studio tune spotlights, 4K fan cams, even the aesthetic decisions driving their comebacks. Because with Lino, Hyunjin, and Felix, gesture becomes aesthetic and aesthetic becomes expression. They don't just dress, they style. And without speaking, they say more than most scripts or solos ever could. Take Hyunjin. In July 2023, he became the official global ambassador for Versace. Donatella herself flew him to Milan, sat him front row, and made him the face of the brand's fall-winter campaign. This wasn't just a fashion move, it was an aesthetic statement. Hyunjin embodies a baroque, feline masculinity that blurs the lines between romanticism and edge. He wears gold blazers, flowy trousers, shirts open like theater curtains. And never once does he look like he's wearing a costume. His walk, his posture, even the way he rests a hand, all of it is choreographed, even offstage. His Instagram is a gallery of dramatic portraits, meticulous makeup, bold hair, sculpted silhouettes. He creates trends with a haircut, a swipe of eyeliner, a slow motion hair flip. Every public appearance becomes a visual act, but nothing feels gratuitous. Every detail extends his stage persona. The performance never ends, even in a three-piece suit. Felix, on the other hand, broke into the fashion world on a completely different path. He became a house ambassador for Louis Vuitton in August 2023, following a string of viral front row moments. But the real turning point came in March 2024, when he walked in Vuitton's Women's Wear FW 2024 show at Paris Fashion Week. Yes, you read that right. Felix, a male idol, walking a women's runway, wearing a futuristic androgynous set with a gait as fluid as his English diction. It was a cultural reset. Fashion media applauded. Fans lost it. By November, he graced the cover of Elle Korea for a Louis Vuitton special edition, where he spoke about fashion as narrative. He cited Kai, G-Dragon, and Virgil Abloh as inspirations and talked about bending the rules. What's striking is how the public image built on his deep voice and angelic face has evolved into a playground for experimentation. Felix in skirts, crop tops, glitter harnesses, no problem. He can launch into a dance move or hit you with a soft focus gaze. Even standing still, he's performing. Lee No, the quiet one, doesn't yet have an exclusive luxury contract. But that doesn't mean he's out of the game. In September 2021, he joined Hyunjin and Felix in Ichiro's Earthbat campaign, a paisley capsule line shot in a chic, eco-themed setting. The trio, styled in coordinated looks, projected an elegant, near-aristocratic masculinity. What stood out with Lee No, though, was his ability to wear demanding pieces bustiers, asymmetrical sets, structured jackets without looking like a mannequin. His stoic gaze, sharp stance, and straight-backed poise make him a stylist's dream. He's also featured in Arena Hom, plus singles, and has pulled off some bold stage fits like that sequin black corset on the S-Class stage, which triggered a wave of Lee No-served memes across the internet. Off stage, he's minimal hoodies, black straight jeans, but under the lights, he becomes a silent icon, his visual aura built on the tension between control and flair. But beyond fashion, it's on visual-first platforms where Dance RACHA hit hardest. Studio Choom, TikTok, fan cams. Any format where the body is king, they're the headliners. The clearest example, Hyunjin's Artist of the Month feature with Motley Crue, a genre-bending short film masquerading as a dance performance, swinging from urban to contemporary in one cinematic take. Or the B original performances where, like clockwork, the longest shots are given to them. In Maniac, Lee No explodes during the dance break, Hyunjin slices through tempo changes, and Felix lands a full body flip mid-frame. And guess what? Even when they're not center, you can't look away. That's the viral effect. TikTok makes this even more obvious. Hyunjin breezes through challenges like everything's a slow jam seduction. Felix becomes a trending sound just by talking. Hey, you want to come in? From back doors, now a cult audio. Lee No quietly amasses a following obsessed with his deadpan minimalism and dry wit. Entire edits focus on his micro-expressions, death stares, and deliberate aesthetic detachment. Like a cat, he gives nothing. And that's exactly why people want to pet him. What Dance RACHA proves is that performance doesn't begin with the music. It begins the moment the camera turns on. The body is on stage always. In elevators, in fashion shoots, in 30-second TikToks filmed between rehearsals. Their image is curated, sure, but never hollow. It speaks, it asserts, it inspires, which is why they generate so much UGC, so many memes, so many trends. They're not just dancers. They're modern muses, viral entities in 4K who turn motion into language and style into message. When they step on stage, something happens, something even the spotlights can't explain. A shift, a presence, a before and an after. Lee No, Hyunjin, Felix. Names you might have already known, but now you know what they've been through. You know what they're saying with their bodies even when they say nothing at all. You know that for them, dance isn't an accessory. It's survival. It's where everything begins and where everything comes back. They are Stray Kids' kinetic spine, the breath, the heartbeat, the emotional muscle. Without them, the stage doesn't breathe the same. And no, it's not about who dances better. It's about presence, about identity, about embodiment. So next time you're watching a live stage of God's Menu, Taste, or Maniac, look closer. Look at Lee No mentally correcting every step in real time. Look at Hyunjin clenching his jaw like he's holding back a storm. Look at Felix leaping like his sneakers barely touch the ground. Watch, really watch, and you'll understand, because they don't dance to be seen. They dance to not disappear. And if you vibed with what you heard today, if you're still here with your coffee gone cold and your brain buffering, Taste, you already know what to do. Subscribe to Cappuccino and Croissant on your favorite podcast platform. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, wherever you get your dose of chaos and nuance. And if you want to support this series, check out my Patreon. Want to go deeper? Dive into my books, my music, and the whole universe, connecting all my worlds at capcroissantmedia.com. It's all there. Words, sounds, paper glitch, truth. Maybe you're not into books or podcasts, but still want to help the show stay independent, uncensored, and real? You can make a donation one time or recurring through the link in the description. Even the price of a coffee is a small act of resistance. And of course, for behind-the-scenes updates, polls, and 2 a.m. existential story rants, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and all the usual chaos zones at Harmony to Meeple. I'll be back soon with episode 3 of RACHA Files, this time about the ones who don't scream into the mic, but still manage to rip your heart out in 3 notes. Vocal RACHA, the voices you didn't expect, and the ones we lost. Until then, remember to watch what bodies say when words fall silent. Take care.
Cappuccino, white crop, mines, brewed hot, served raw. No sugar, no filter, sip, think, repeat.